everyone, this is Patty Sandstrom. Today is Wednesday, June 10th, and I thought I'd show you what's happening in the garden. So this is exciting. I actually have tomatoes on a lot of my tomato plants. So that is fun to see. Obviously it takes a long time yet for tomatoes to fully develop and ripen, but the plants are looking awesome. I did some more pruning tonight because you have to keep up with the pruning regularly, at least once a week, to pull off any new suckers or branches that are hitting the bottom. But the plants are looking great, climbing up the cattle panel, so very happy with the tomatoes. My melons are looking great too. You can see here they are starting to climb up the trellis. These are called a Kajari melon, which is kind of like a cantaloupe. On the other side I have watermelons growing too, so happy with those. Got some red cabbage over here, and it's just amazing how fast everything is growing at this time of the year. Look at the peas. Now on this end here, these are the shelling peas. Focus. And the far end are the snap peas. But again, they're climbing up the trellis, and everywhere where there's a white blossom, there will be a pea pod. So we will have plenty of peas coming up in a few weeks. And you can see I put this reflective tape on the trellis by the peas. I started that last year because I had birds that were eating kind of the tops of the peas and the blossoms, so I bought this reflective tape on Amazon, and that seems to help with that because they don't like that reflection. So I have a bit of that throughout the peas here. Marigolds are looking great. These are my leeks over here. Those take a while too, but they're doing good. So at this end, here's, I thinned out my turnips a bit, but you can see how big these turnip greens are. Now those won't be ready to start harvesting anything for, probably about a month yet. But those are looking good. And then I've got kohlrabies that will, if you look, they'll be forming kind of a bulb here at the bottom. The plants are looking really good, but they form a bulb kind of at the base, and that's the part that you actually eat. So plants are looking good. I just need time to form their bulb at the bottom. And we got plenty of beets here too. They're looking good. Got red beets and golden beets. Still harvesting asparagus all the time. We had a big bunch of that for dinner tonight. Obviously the onions look great. I've got all of the radishes pulled out. I had radishes in with my carrot row here, and radishes like cool weather. They just don't do well when it gets this hot. So they were starting to put all of their energy into their tops instead of their radish bulbs. So at that point they aren't that good anymore, so I pulled those out. But the carrots that remain in the row are looking great. I'm excited about the green beans because the plants are looking good. And I noticed today, if you look closely, they will soon be flowering. And as soon as they flower, then they form the beans. So it really won't be too long before we have green beans that we can harvest as well. And look at this squash. That's something that just grows crazy fast. This is spaghetti squash here, which will just continue to grow and vine, and it will take over this entire space here. That's why I left a lot of space around the squash, because that just, it spreads like crazy. And this is the little bit smaller, but that's the butternut squash here. And then zucchini, I did thin out a little bit since the last time I took a video because there was just way too many plants. You really only need 1 or 2, I probably got still 3 or 4 here, zucchini plants because we like zucchini, but you really don't need a whole lot of zucchini because it produces a lot even from one plant. Some more cabbage, cauliflowers. I don't know how well some of those things will do when it gets too hot. For things like broccoli and cauliflower, they don't have enough time to form their head. They're more cool weather crops. So with the hot weather we've been having lately, I don't know if I'll get a good crop of things like cauliflower and broccoli, but we'll see. Very windy tonight, but this row here is my Brussels sprouts, and Brussels sprouts are pretty cool. They're also in the cabbage family, but they have a very long growing season. So Brussels sprouts form on the stem. Those little sprouts will form on the stem, and they actually aren't ready until probably like the September-October time frame. And actually they can stand a freeze too. So these plants will be here for a long while, and hopefully this fall we'll get some Brussels sprouts. And then this is all of the lots of pepper plants. They're doing just fine. They'll take a while yet, but that's just fine. Their plants are looking good, so happy with all of those. My 3 eggplants are looking good too. I'm not sure. We've had eggplant before. I don't know that I've found a way to prepare it that we love, but I got this seed for free from one of my fellow master gardeners, and I thought, well, we'll give it a try again. It doesn't take up too much space, so maybe we'll try it again and we'll like it. So that's the fun of gardening, is you can plant things with seeds for very cheap and try some new things and see if you like them. And obviously all the tomatoes are over here, so everything's looking great. Welcome to the rustic garden. We've got that fun new sign for this arch, but things are looking good here too. Those pepper plants are getting really big. And these are those climbing beans, and they're starting to get to a point where we'll start trellising pretty soon. And the melons are starting to get to that point here too. And on the other side they are trellising, which is fun. Our goal is by the end of the summer that this trellis is completely covered. That will be really cool. So more of those beans on this side. And this was my fill it in mode here, because I had peppers in here that got taken down by cutworms, so I filled this area in with some carrots and radishes and beets, and then my 1 pepper plant on this side remains. Here's my greens. My kale is going crazy, so I've been looking up different recipes to make with kale. I'm going to try making some kale chips that I've had people recommend as a good way to use kale. This is a fun, this was a free seed packet I got with my seeds from Baker Creek, and it's giant red mustard. And I've tried some of the leaves and it honestly tastes like mustard. It's the strangest thing. So you can either put this in salads, or as it gets bigger you can saute it. So something interesting, new and fun to try. Lots of onions for green onions, bunching onions those are called. Basically use like green onions from the store. I planted some, these are called nasturtiums. It's a type of flower in here I planted from seed. and it's obviously not flowering yet, but it's an edible flower. So the leaves and the flowers are actually edible. So that will be interesting to try as well. Yeah, the radishes don't really like the heat, so we'll see how much more I get from those. I did try to reseed some, but it's kind of hit or miss at this point in the year. This is bok choy, which I've had showed you baby bok choy, which I've got a little bit here, which we love. We've been harvesting that for weeks now, and this is the bigger regular size bok choy as well. Kind of cool. We had never tried bok choy before this year, and we actually both like it. Kind of sauteed, Asian, kind of with a stir fry. So it's really good. This was full of spinach, and as you can see, that is empty because spinach doesn't like the heat, and that just bolted over the last week. So I harvested everything I could off of it, and we actually ate the last of it in salads. The lettuce looks okay. I actually lost a lot of lettuce on Monday when it was 95 and windy, and it just got wilted. So I actually pulled a lot out. Lettuce is another thing that doesn't like the heat. So we'll eat what we can out of here. I'll probably try to reseed some, and we'll see what we get for a second crop. And dill looks lovely, growing great. And over here, excited too, because we actually have strawberries on our plants. Not many, but you know, this is the first year, so any little strawberries we can get is exciting. Potato plants are huge and looking healthy. At some point here, I'm gonna get a little curious and pull one up maybe and see what I can get for baby potatoes under there. You know, you can let potatoes go and wait until, you know, they're fully ready for harvest late in the year, or you can pull them and see what you get for, you know, baby sized potatoes. I usually do a little bit of both. And my herbs are looking good over here. Cilantro, I seed new cilantro about every other week because it goes to seed pretty quick. So to keep that going throughout the year, you want to reseed every couple weeks. This is my basil seed trials for my U of M seed trials. Pretty soon I'm going to be picking some of this to give it a try. I have to take notes on what I like about each of them, and at the end of the summer I have to send that in to the University of Minnesota. This is just one of the different seed trials that they're doing this year to figure out the best seeds for basil to grow in Minnesota. And that's lots of parsley there. Cucumbers are looking great. Again, I probably have too many in here. You probably don't need that many, but I have 4 different kinds, one kind on each side of the trellis here. So some different slicers in this bed, and these are my pickling cucumbers over here. This is my blueberry bush, and only have I gotten like 2 or 3 blueberries off of it. I've only planted this maybe 2 years ago, but I actually had quite a few blooms on it, so I am hoping I actually get some blueberries, but we shall see. I'm going to show a couple of the beds that I haven't shown of my flowers. This is salvia. The bees love this. As you can see, if you look close, there's a bumblebee right there. They just love this flower. It only lasts like this with the pretty purple blooms like that for maybe 3-4 weeks, but it's really pretty when it is blooming. And then I have 4 bunches of these pink, hot pink dianthus, and here too, and they just took off this year and spread. So very cool. And this weather vane in this bed was from the barn on the farm that I grew up on. And that barn is no longer existing, but I have the weather vane from that to put in my garden. And there's one more perennial bed. So this is, oh, I forget the name of this, but it will produce really pretty yellow flowers a little bit later in the summer. And then I have a few other things here. These are balloon flowers that'll produce some really pretty purple flowers. This is an astilbe, which astilbes are known for being shade plants, but actually the ones I have here in the sun almost do better than the shade ones. So and this is a geranium, and it's really neat because it kind of creates this own mound shape on its own. And I've got two of these, one over in the corner next to the irises and one here, and it's just kind of a neat plant. And one last shot of my roses.